He didn't write his first novel until he was almost 30, so feeling a little bit better about the fact that I am 35 and working on my debut.
But what I do think is kind of magical about this routine, and probably could work for everybody, bold statement,
It definitely doesn't work, is 4 a.m. It's getting serious now. Is there a point where these intros get less awkward? Because like, dying inside. Hello, I'm Bri. I write books, currently working on my debut novel, a speculative archaeological thriller. In this video, we're going to do something a little bit different. I thought we would try something new. It's actually getting cold out, isn't it? It's crazy. So today, I thought what we would do is try out Haruki Murakami's writing routine. Got a little Japanese Zen garden theme going on in the background. Before he became a novelist, Murakami and his wife actually ran a jazz bar in Tokyo. He didn't write his first novel until he was almost 30, so feeling a little bit better about the fact that I am 35 and working on my debut. And he actually claims that the idea for his novel came to him literally out of nowhere while he was watching a baseball game. Since then, he's written some of the most surreal and loved novels in the world, like Kafka on the Shore, Wind Up Bird Chronicle, Norwegian Wood, and 1Q84. Murakami's books feel very kind of surreal and like dreams, essentially. It's ordinary life, but sort of tilted very slightly. So let's talk about what Murakami's writing routine actually looks like. It's pretty intense. Murakami wakes up at 4 a.m. and then writes for 5 to 6 hours straight. He then runs 10 kilometers or swims 1,500 meters, sometimes both. And then in the afternoon, he will read, listen to music, typically going to bed around 9 p.m. He repeats this every day for months until the book is finished. Murakami's theory is that the kind of physical repetition puts him in a trance-like kind of state, and that allows for the story to breathe and to come alive. I'm going to be trying this out and seeing if this works for me. Now, of course, there'll have to be small adaptations. I have 2 young children. So yes, this is what I'm going to attempt in this video, and I will report back as to the results. I did it, guys. I did a writing session. I'll be straight with you. It wasn't 5 or 6 hours. Murakami didn't have children, and so it's a miracle I actually got up at 4 a.m. Had a terrible night's sleep before that. Murakami didn't have a 2-year-old kicking him all night long. But it was nice to get some uninterrupted writing time, and I need to help the kids get ready and do the whole school run thing, but I will be back with the next portion of the routine, which is going for a run, which right now I feel so exhausted. It probably wouldn't be top of my agenda, but actually I know I'll feel better for the movement. So let's do it. Murakami runs every day to keep his writing and his mind sharp, and he once said that writing a novel is like surviving a marathon. It's about endurance more than it actually is about inspiration. I have run a marathon. I ran my first marathon this year. I've run 2 ultra marathons this year, so I kind of relate to this side of Murakami. And although I didn't do it specifically for creative pursuits, it was actually just a personal goal of mine, but also some emotional processing with the ultras for some miscarriages that I suffered. I definitely agree that it really can help with creativity. It helps you kind of churn over your ideas and helps with flow. I don't think it needs to be a marathon or an ultra marathon. I appreciate that is very much a personality thing. Perhaps Murakami and I are cut from the same cloth in terms of liking extreme physical endurance challenges. But I think for other writers, you know, it's more about movement. I would suggest give it a go, see what works for you. After dropping the kids at school and at the childminder, I went for a run. And I think, yeah, I always find this. Movement clears the mind. It really, really does. The endorphin high is also a lovely, lovely side effect, but it really helps me churn over my problems. Also, at the moment, what's really cool about this is the protagonist in my current work in progress. is also, you know, she uses movement and running specifically to handle things that she finds difficult, stressful. She's an ultramarathon runner too, and so I think, yeah, it really helped me kind of get into character a little bit, which was a nice side effect. Murakami then spends afternoons reading or listening to music, you know, removing some of the pressure, taking away that productivity guilt after quite an intense start to the day, I suppose, and refilling that well. So that is what I decided to do.
It's really annoying that my copies of Murakami are in our storage unit where a lot of my books are, because my husband, I can't throw away books, but we don't really have the space where we're living right now. So my husband kind of boxed up some for me, and yeah, I don't have them on me. So the closest thing I could think for my afternoon pages was What You Were Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I'm going to read a few pages of this, bring back some kind of slow, intentional reading, and see if it gives me Murakami kind of vibes and helps my creative practice. So what do we reckon, guys? Honest thoughts on Murakami's writing routine. Do I recommend becoming a 4 a.m. aesthetic marathon runner? No. Do I recommend 4 a.m. in general? Not if you're a sleep deprived mum. I don't think 4 a.m. is for me. However, what I do think is kind of magical about this routine, and probably could work for everybody, bold statement, is it's about the consistency and the principles of it. So I think having some time alone where you really can dedicate a bit more of a stretch than like these 10-minute snatches that I usually fight for really helps. 5 or 6 hours, not good for me, but you know, I got in about 3 before I had to get the kids up for school, and I think some dedicated quiet time, whenever that might be for you, I found that really positive. And I think that consistency of a daily writing habit is really powerful. And the movement portion, I think, is fantastic. So whether it's marathons, whether you're a runner, a walker, a swimmer, it could be dancing, I think writing is such a sedentary occupation as well, and I think it's another way to kind of get things moving, get things flowing. It's good for our health, and I think you really can be kind of working over writing issues subconsciously while you are working out. So I like marathons. I actually like ultra marathons. I would recommend them to you, but if that's off-putting, or if that doesn't fit with like your personality, your lifestyle, I don't think it's the marathon itself that is the magic. I think it's the kind of consistency and the repetitive discipline combined with like the daily writing practice that really works the magic, you know? The other thing I would say, you know, is that I like that Murakami makes space for reading and some kind of slow, intentional reading and listening to music being part of the daily routine. I think reading actually is part of our writing practice. It's not separate from it. And even though, you know, today I was reading something to try and feel like more in the zone for trying this writing routine, but I think reading something for kind of like vocal training in a tone or style that works with, you know, close to what you're trying to achieve for your own work is probably a really good idea. I've said before that I've seen Lindy Jung recommend this, and I'm still searching for the right thing to do that, but I think it's really good. And also, you know, Christiane Jones has mentioned this before. She also made a video recently about trying Joan Didion's writing routine, and Joan Didion has done this where they read and deconstruct some of their favorite works to kind of work out how they are working on a word by word and sentence by sentence level. I think Christy mentioned that she did this with Angela Carter's fairy tales, and my plan is to do this with my favorite novel of all time. I am searching for my copy desperately right now, and I actually can't see it. I thought, it's hiding. Very well filmed because of how often I read this, but I might try and do a similar thing with this. So lots of lessons learned from this writing routine. Interested that Murakami likes jazz. I quite like jazz too, and I find it really helpful for writing. Something about the free flowingness of it is lovely. It also reminds me of my days as an undergrad literature student, where I went through that phase that I think everyone does, where they kind of fall in love with Kerouac's writing and the jazz prosody of it, and how it kind of works to the same kind of musical structure or lack thereof as jazz. And yeah, anyway, we're digressing now, but interesting experiment. Definitely some takeaways: consistency, movement, regular reading practice, and music. I think it works for my creative well. What definitely doesn't work is 4 a.m. Not going to be about that life. I'm really excited to do a few more of these videos with you guys, so comment if you have tried any writing routines that you think would work for me, or that wouldn't but would be interesting lessons learned. I definitely have on the list to do Virginia Woolf and Donna Tartt writing routines very soon, so let me know if there are any others you can think of. And if you made it to the end of this video, I would love it if you would drop me a, what should we do today? Let's do a running emoji for Murakami's very physical aspect to the writing routine. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has given you some inspiration, whether you want to try implementing some of this or whether it just makes you excited to get back to your story and get consistent.